Welcome to the richness of our lives. I'm Mary Scott, and this is where we celebrate the wisdom, courage, and stories that shape us. Every 2 weeks, I sit down with entrepreneurs, coaches, and remarkable people who've walked through fire and come out transformed. This isn't just about success. It's about the richness of the human experience. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's dive deep. Welcome to the Richness of Our Lives podcast. I'm your host, Mary Scott. And today our guest, would you believe, resides in Queensland, Australia, which is a bit of a treat because I've been talking to people all over the world lately. So it's a real treat. And it's more than a treat that she's in Queensland. This woman is going to bring you some real joy. And I think she'll invite within you for you to dig a little bit deeper into your curiosity and to what makes your heart sing. Now, this lady was a teacher for 30 years. It's a lot of years to be a teacher.
It is.
An animal communicator, which is rather lovely, a medium, Reiki master, and, as if that's not amazing enough, she is also a keynote speaker. So welcome today to Jodiann Goulter. Jodiann, hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I thought we might start today with Hong Kong because you spent, I think it was 13 years there, and a life-changing event happened. You've got 2 children, you're there. Tell us what happened. Let's dive in.
Okay. So originally my husband and I went over to Hong Kong. He's a pilot for Cathay Pacific, and I went over to teach. So I started off in kindergartens and the English Schools Foundation. So I taught on and off for the time that I was over there. Very different teaching to the Australian system, and it was refreshing, but also challenging, just learning a new system, I guess. We went to Hong Kong with our children. We had 3 there and established lifelong friendships, and your friends do become the family that you miss that are living abroad. And in 2009, I was pregnant with my 3rd son, Timothy, probably about 8.5 months pregnant. And I found a tumor on the side of my left leg, which we didn't know was a tumor at the time. But after much investigation, I discovered it was a malignant angiosarcoma, which is a very rare cancer, especially for someone in my age bracket, and I was pregnant, healthy. I recently lost my mother to Alzheimer's, so she had early onset Alzheimer's, and my stepmom had taken her life in a suicide. So we had a lot going on.
Wow, yes, indeed.
Yeah, so as if the cancer diagnosis wasn't enough. The good news was that I delivered Timothy full term, and he was healthy. And we know that epigenetics is the study of, or the science of children that are in womb and them taking on stress and anxiety, and also the fact that I had 3 surgeries while he was still waiting to be born. But everything turned out well, and he's a 16-year-old teenager, strong and healthy. And my other 2 children are 18 and 20. So
Lovely.
we moved back to Australia in 2013. So they grew up in Hong Kong. I had all my treatment in Hong Kong. I had a near-death experience in Hong Kong, and that was also changed the trajectory of my my thinking around the big questions around, why are we here? What is our purpose? I steered away from the why me. I never wanted to be a victim. I was that cancer patient that wore bright lipstick to every chemo, always had a smile on my face, gave myself the nickname toe ball, like on the back of a car. I laughed off, jokes around, are you the mum or the dad, which little children bring up when you're teaching them. And that was due to my hair loss, not because I wasn't wearing pink shirts still. And yeah, I really started to ask some deep questions. I actually left my body during an episode of pneumonia during my treatment. I was alone in my hospital room in isolation. They were having a lot of trouble. It took 10 days to work out what was going on with me. And I felt myself looking down on myself actually from the ceiling, and I could see the white light at the end of the bed and three beings saying, "Are you ready?" And I said, "No way. There's no way that I want to leave my family, newborn baby." And I knew that I had so much more to give the world. My story wasn't finished. And I very firmly said, "No, I'm staying." And I heard a voice, whether it's deep inside of you or in the vacuum of that room, say that you'll serve them. And I didn't know what that meant, but I was willing to do, or you're negotiating with your life. So I was like, yes, whatever it takes, sign me up. So I very quickly started to spontaneously heal throughout my treatment, was released pretty much the next day from hospital. And I continued to become my oncologist, Dr. Kevin Lowe's miracle. And we still have a photo every year. He threw everything at it, and definitely I have him. I call him my hero. So that's our Hong Kong part of the story, but it certainly wasn't the end to the story.
No, no, absolutely. What a massive injection, to the spirit world. And, when you actually left your body, that's pretty much it. And then, from there on, it's a blink of an eye as to what you choose. And all that you're describing happens so quickly, as
Yeah.
I understand, not having been there, but the choices that you made. And then back in bed. And what impact do you think, you're saying the healing took place very quickly. What
Mm,
do you make of that? Did you have any understanding about why that was so? Because on your leg, you're moving, you're doing all sorts of things. I would think that's quite demanding.
mm. So, so the tumor was removed from my leg, but the tumors ended up in my lungs. So I had tumors in both lungs. I did the drip chemo. I did Sutent, which is a drug not used for angiosarcoma. It was a trial drug. Perhaps it was for kidney, I'm not sure. And it didn't require radiation, but I just had this attitude of gratitude, that to make every moment count, to smile in every photo, to wake up every morning and say, I'm glad to be alive. I'm grateful to be alive. And I still say that today, every day. And I wanted for my children to make memories where mum might not have always had hair in all those photos, but just to be really present and to have that energy where I was grateful for any input. I had Tibetan monks give me prayer beads. I had friends from South Africa send me oxygen drops. I had all sorts of remedies from all over the world, Philippines, Canada, UK. We had lovely friends that surrounded us. And I really think it's about choosing the people that you're around, your positive outlook, your complete belief, trust, surrender. in your treatment, but to be an advocate for your own health. So
Oh, I like
I
that.
knew
That's a
that
beautiful term.
no one cares more about you than you do. So you actually have to invest in becoming your own best friend and knowing your body like no one else. And to do that, you have to quieten the mind. So I did Tai Chi. So I was doing Tai Chi throughout my treatment. I did yoga, I had reflexology, had massage. I still exercised. There was many side effects which weren't pleasant, and I would never want any of that back. I used to go to chemo and think it's like putting your hand on a hot barbecue. You know it's going to hurt every time, but you still go back and do it. And it was really hard. You really had to shift your mindset. And I would imagine the chemo going around my body like little Pac-Men eating the ghosts, the baddies in my body.
Yes, yes.
So I spent a lot of time journaling and listening to good things, um, and trying to stay away from things like Google.
Yes, exactly. So, like quite a profound event
Mm.
and changed your life forever.
Changed my life forever. I did prior to that near-death experience. I went through all the emotions of choosing my own funeral things and my own music and my own wishes and how I wanted my children raised. And my husband and I changed our wills and made sure that I had enduring powers of attorney for my medical care. My prognosis was not good. And but I was acutely aware that I was in really good hands, and not just my oncologist. It extended far beyond that. It was people holding prayer circles for me, back in Australia. It was going to group meditations and sound healings, and you name it, I tried it.
So, from that time of having the near death experience, is that when you started to really shift your mindset? Like prior to that, funeral, wills, this is how it's going to be. And then this really impacted you and it changed everything about you then, really.
I don't think you can be the same person.
No.
People say that around all traumatic experiences, near death experiences. Yeah, I had a strong belief that I needed to do the science, the medical treatment that was on offer, and it was Dr. Lowe was in contact with the US cancer, the big cancer hospital over there and the UK. So I had complete trust in him. But I also knew that I didn't want to sit back and just be a passenger.
No, absolutely
I wanted
not.
to
So
drive.
how has that impacted life since then?
Mm. So I found that I was getting intuitive drops. So we all are born with intuition. They talk about, a mother's intuition or the intuition that you share with a pet or thinking about someone and telepathically having that connection and then they call you. And I was getting that a lot. But I got it a lot more once I left Hong Kong, because I just found in daily practice I was outside a lot more. I was grounded. I ground my energy with bare feet on the grass and around plants. There's lots of signs in Hong Kong that says keep off the grass. I got animals. I got two cats, two dogs, and a horse. And I explored all things energy medicine, particularly so during the pandemic. And so I did an animal communication course. I did my Reiki 1, 2, and Holy Fire. I did access consciousness and bars training. I did the bushflower essence.
This is all in COVID.
All in COVID.
Oh my
I
goodness.
just could not get enough, because everything was online and it was just so easy just to
Yes.
take it on. And I had three boys all doing online learning. And I thought, I need to make the most of this time. It's a gift. We're all together as a family under the same roof, and we can all be learning together. And again, I didn't want to go into the fear. I'm very protective of my energy and who I give it to and what I give it to. So the fear around the pandemic put me right back into the fear of a cancer diagnosis. So that would bring up it'd bring up anxiety and, prickly, sweaty palms. And I quickly realized that that fear is your power being drained away from you. You're giving away your power to a situation that you have no control over. What I
Yes,
could control was how I chose to use time.
that is absolutely brilliant. You mentioned about energy.
Mhm.
Tell me more about your beliefs about energy. I've read that you've got some opinions that I think our audience would love to hear.
Yeah, so energy, and scientifically so, according to great scientists like Einstein, have said that it can't be destroyed nor created. So um, it it is, I guess, best described as so when you feel disempowered, that's your lack of energy control around a situation. And when you feel empowered, you are able to trust and surrender. And through the energy that we exchange with people, you have that feeling like our energy aligns. Some people think it's around values and beliefs, which were also very strong during COVID period. Um, but it's also the energy, I guess, of how you spend it on filling up your cup and making sure that you get time to do things that bring you joy and peace. And I was finding that some energetic situations like big shopping centers or concerts or negative people were actually just draining the life force out of me. So, when you have one of those conversations with people and at the end of it, you just go, oh, that's
Yeah, absolutely.
exhausting. That's exhausting. So I really started to look into how to protect my energy because I didn't want to walk around fearful and I wanted to feel empowered. So I looked at how crystals can help us, how mantras can help us, meditations, things like scrubbing your body with salt or swimming in salt water affects your energy. And you all know what you feel like after you've been at the beach and you just feel completely different. It just has a very calming effect on your nervous system. So when I do occasionally do a day at school, I come home and I just get pink Himalayan salt out of the kitchen pantry, and I start with my crown. I wet myself and then scrub my crown chakra and go through the chakras. So third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root chakra, and my shoulders. And I just imagine all of any negativity, anything that's not mine. Their energy's theirs, my energy's mine. I just imagine it all going down the drain.
Well, that's such a good tip, and it's interesting you mention shopping centers. It's not something that I frequent, to be honest, and I've been saying for a long time, like if you're low on energy, do not go into places like casinos where
No,
everyone's hopeful and all of that kind of thing, and shopping centers where people are hanging out for connection or just starving for contact because they just zap you. And here you are talking about it because there's energy in everything, and
totally.
it is such a, what should I say, oh, it's a vital part of how we live our life.
Yeah.
And I
And
think we have to protect it like, well, I was going to say like our life depends on it. And in some ways, it absolutely does, wouldn't you think?
it does. I think, again, just bringing it back to healing and energy and healing and around animals and around children. And they're very sensitive to energy, and they'll tell you very quickly and reflect back to you what your energy is doing. So if I go into a classroom and I'm all, excited and revved up, suddenly I've got 30 kids in front of me that are matching my energy.
Yes,
If
lovely.
I go into my horse paddock and I've been at work all day and I'm like, oh, I've got to be back to put dinner on and go to the shops on my way home. My horse doesn't want anything to do with me. He will run away. Come back when you have calmed down. So
Yeah.
I walk down to the hay shed, grab his hay, do some breathing, a bit of box breathing for 4 points on a square, and just, breathe in for one. Imagine drawing a square in your mind, out, in, out. And by the time I come back, he's at the gate waiting.
He sent you away. Tell
Yes.
us more about this
Yeah.
because you are quite the animal communicator and you've got some lovely stories to tell. Do share.
Yeah. So I've got so many. So when I first started, I did a online course initially with a lady, Lynn McKenzie, in the States. And then I do like learning in person as well. So a lady by the name of Dagmar came up from South Australia, and she's a well-known animal communicator in that part of the world. And she came up to Mullaney, and probably my favorite story, and we spoke about this last week, her and I, was her one of her lessons that she did was to hand out pictures of her own animals, and she has quite the menagerie. And I got her cat Cookie. And the biggest part of animal communication is ego and self-doubt and wanting to validate that what you hear is actually theirs and not yours. And if you have doubt, it just won't come through. You just have to believe to receive. And Cookie, as soon as I started to channel, because I write as I hear it, and it's like a two-way telepathic conversation between myself and the animal, said, what are you doing? You're already animal communicator. Just do it.
That
And
is priceless.
I think that was all the validation that I needed. So I then did 100 free readings for friends and family.
100.
Yes, 100. And at the end of 100 readings, my youngest son, Timothy, actually said, Mum, what are you doing? You need to charge for what you're doing. And I said, well, I would need a website and a payment link. And he said, I'll make one for you. So they were on board, and bless them, my three kids and husband were supportive around me setting up a website and a business, and expanding it into our media room to do Reiki healing on animals and people if they're on the Sunshine Coast. But I just want people to realize that energetic healing is equally effective by distance. So I have clients around the world, and that was one of the things that I really wanted to trial when I was learning. I did readings in Taiwan, and a cat there came through that I was asked to read in English. And I was like, I'm not going to understand if it's in Mandarin. But it was in English. And then I tried the UK, and I had this beautiful barn cat called Cuthbert, and his voice was like Sean Connery.
Such a distinguished name, Cuthbert.
Oh, oh, it was just, he still gives me like the tingles, like his voice. He had an accent. And then I did some cats in Dubai, and I went to Riyadh and to Jeddah and Bahrain, and I spoke to a camel called Mohammed. And everywhere I would sit on, in parks or on benches over there, all the stray cats would come and sit on my lap. And I even had a litter. of kittens. A mama cat brought her litter of kittens, and they sat and we meditated on the beach one morning and watched the sunrise over the Red Sea. So they all telepathically communicate with me in English, and literally it's how their entire species communicate, because using their voice is going to draw attention to predators. So you don't hear horses neighing all the time. They're telepathically communicating and subtly moving the body, and their energy speaks volumes. It's the same as my dog. I can think about going for a walk in the morning, and she is waiting with the lead.
But
So,
what kicked it off, Jodiann? I mean, like you're speaking to us today with huge belief, knowing this is what you do extremely well, and you have so many testimonials and, let's say, for want of a better word, a proven track record. But what caused you to go there in the first place? Was there like a tap on the shoulder? What happened? Because I imagine it takes a bit of confidence, a little
mm,
bit of, is this for real or not?
yeah.
Like you were saying, you have to believe that
Mm.
this is not you, it's them. So can you say more about that? I think that's important.
Sure. So some clever person said what we resist persists, and that's very true. So I didn't know that I had to protect the channel that I provided for animals. And I would literally go to the bank, and the dog tied up at the front would be going, my back, my back. And he was there by himself, and I'd be looking around, and I'd
Oh, you
go to
could hear him. You could
I could
hear him.
hear him. So it's like in my inner, yeah, in my intuition, like I hear it in my inner ear. And I was at an Anzac Day parade, and as the horses from the light horse parade came through Budrum, I could hear this animal very clearly, and I knew which one it was. His name was Howard. I said, "Who is that?" Howard. Okay, Howard, I want you to talk to my owner. I was like, okay. So I went down after the parade, and it takes confidence. Not everyone's open to it. But what I did have in my back pocket was when I went to approach this lady, I said, "Is your horse Howard?" And she's like, "Yes." And I said, "I'm an animal communicator, and he wants me to pass messages to you. Are you open to that?" And wouldn't you know, her name was Jody. And her horse looked very similar to mine. And she also tried to adopt the same dog that I ended up with
Oh,
from
goodness.
Lucky Paws Rescue in Brisbane. So
That is fascinating.
we had
Okay, so
so many things that were similar. So I kept getting these messages, and I would go to the horse paddock, and a horse would say salt. And I'd look around and I'd go, okay, who was that? And I'd hear Brooke. And I was like, okay, and go over to the owner and say, do you put salt in Brooke's feed? Because I think he might need some more. So you just have to feel out I guess, test the water and see.
that's pretty confident though, Jodie, to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's always going to be the people that don't believe, and that's fine. My job's not to convince people. My job is to be making people's life easier and to strengthen their bond with their animals, provide support during the grief process as animals get older or as they pass over. And it's a very humbling and privileged position I'm in, that I can actually do mediumship as part of my animal communication. Everyone can do animal communication. There's courses online, there's books. You can start with your own pets. And I encourage people to do it, because you don't want to wait until a catastrophe or a health crisis to want to know what you need to do. You can be having those conversations daily. And a lot of the information that the animals give me, for an anxious animal, for example, they'll say, tell them to leave the radio on. tell me when you're coming back today. When can I expect you back today? It's just having those conversations with your animals, like, I'll be back at 5. If I'm a bit later, don't worry, I'll have your dinner here. People going on holidays and worrying about their pets, the animals actually take on that worry. And they don't want us to be worried about them. They want us to have that high vibe, that good energy. So I'd say that not everyone is open to it, but for those that are, you would be surprised at how many gifts that it can bring. You just want to know, my dog did eat chicken and now he doesn't. Why? Well, I can tell you why, and it's not from my opinion, it's straight from the dog's mouth.
Literally. And so that's how old were you when you first realized, oh, this is pretty cool. I can speak to the animals.
Well, I was practiced as a child. I was a nature spirit, the eternal child, and I would spend my weekends sitting in the hedge of honeysuckle and jasmine in Sydney and talking to my animals. I had bantams, chickens, ducks, guinea pigs, mice, the occasional joey, piglet, a dog, a cat, and lots of rabbits.
Oh, all of those.
Yeah, I used to sell rabbits for pocket money because you couldn't sell rabbits in Sydney as pets. And I spent my whole childhood doing that and wishing that that could be my job. So I think that was the start of it.
Did
And
they talk to you then, or were you just talking to them?
well, I think as a child, you're more open to it. And
Absolutely.
children are often very intuitive and they're able to see auras and they're able to see spirit. So I believed wholeheartedly that they were talking to me. And then you don't want to shine too bright. You don't want to draw attention to yourself, or you want to conform, I guess, to the rest of your life. So you put yourself in a box and wait until Pandora's box is opened. So I was in my 40s before I opened that box again. And I'd say Australia is getting more on board with holistic vets and alternative practice and palliative care and hospice for animals. But I've just had a online seminar that's been going for 8 days on pets and love and loss, and there was 47 speakers.
Oh my gosh.
So we're kind of behind the times. I haven't found anything like that here in Australia.
Oh,
There's certainly
brilliant.
very credible animal communicators and mediums, but this Dr. Jeff in Canada has had 47 phenomenal speakers who I've been listening to over the last 8 days.
How brilliant is that? So, are you leading the way in Australia, or are you in a team that you are aware of? I don't mean you literally work with the team. Don't misunderstand that. But are there many people in Australia that are doing what you're doing?
There definitely are, and I think the one of as a teacher, but also as a student in I like to say the classroom of life. I think that we need more people on board. So I get interest from other people saying, how do you do it? How can I do it? And we
Yeah.
all can do it. It's a gift, but it's a gift that we all have. And the difference between them and I is that I've taken a long time practicing it. And as I said, I did those 100 free readings and I live and breathe it. Like I'm doing it all day, every day. And I started with my own pets and started with Dagmar and then started, just slowly, trying it on other animals. And they just have so much to teach us, so much around life lessons. They often will mirror our life lessons. So if you have a fear of abandonment, you might actually have a nervous or anxious dog or cat. So they very much pick up on your energy. And I've got lots and lots of stories that I could share around that too.
Have you got a special one you could share with us today? Something that either changed your perspective or got you to look at things differently? Have you got one?
So I was thinking about, because honestly, when you do readings, because I guess like a clairvoyant or a psychic, because it's not your information that you're handing it over to the person, the pet owner. I don't often remember a lot of the details, but I did. I just wrote
So
down
you're
some.
saying, sorry, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
Are you saying that you need the consent? Like I've got two standard poodles, you would need my consent to talk to my two dogs, or need my consent to do a reading? Can you tell me the difference?
Yeah, so literally, so when I was receiving, my sore back from the dog, then I communicated with the dog back, and I always introduce myself to the pet. Hi, I'm Jodiann. I'm an animal and pet communicator. Would you like to connect? And if I was to read your poodles, I would ask for your permission. So the information I get is I see is not mine, and
Yeah.
that I'm taking dictation basically for you and for your animal. So I was having a think about this little poodle cross down in Tasmania this morning that I read for in 2020. And he told me that he had been a camel in a previous life. He was only a young dog. And I said, a camel? And he said, yes. And I lived in Tasmania. And I was like, no, there's no camels in Tasmania. He said, there is. And camels get cancer. Did you know that camels get cancer? And I was like, no, well, this is weird. This is taking a weird um, twist. And he said, we ended up, um, myself and four of my camel team ended up in Hobart. And I said, in the city, camels in the city. I said, are you, like, tell me more. Uh,
Ye
anyway,
of little faith, eh?
I know. Well, that's when you start to doubt yourself, right? So
Yes,
I
exactly.
actually Googled camels Hobart 2020. And wouldn't you know it, there was a man by the name of John Elliott, and he had five camels, and he took his camels around Tasmania. Do you know what his message was? Skin check and melanomas.
Oh my goodness me. That's amazing. I love it. I
Yes.
love this conversation, Jody.
Yeah, so they tell you all sorts of things. They tell you past life things. They can tell you about reincarnation. If you have a pet that's passed, they can tell you. We all have choice, free will, whether they choose to reincarnate, whether they'll reincarnate to you, whether what signs to look out for when they've passed over. To had a beautiful dog, Mia, that I did a reading for not so long ago. And I know this person won't mind me sharing, but Mia told her owner in our Rainbow Bridge reading about a fish and a dog that was going to be together. And I was like, I had no clue. And I try not to then try to work it out because it's none of my business. It's for Nina to work out. And so it was fish, a feather, and a dog. And she rang me from a dog park, very excited, not so long after that reading. And she had taken her older dog, Marley, another border collie, to the park. And Marley was very excited to see this other dog come towards him. And the owner called out Fish. The dog's name was Fish, and its collar had a feather hanging off it.
Oh my gosh.
And it
Oh,
was like
like,
two, yeah,
oh,
goosebumps, angel bumps. So,
angel heart.
yeah, they can be so specific with what they're going to send you in spirit. And just like we think, when we see a feather or we see rainbows, or these are all the the love energy, that when your heart stays open, that you get those messages forever. Just because they've gone from the human world or from our world, it doesn't mean that their soul doesn't die.
Oh, it's just gorgeous. I love this. And, I think that we could talk for, hours and hours. And I'm looking at the time. Are you okay if we digress a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
So, the last thing that I introduced you as was a keynote speaker. My
Mhm.
goodness, how does that all fit?
Oh, well, that's quite the story as well. Are you ready for it?
Oh, absolutely.
So I had done a beautiful reading on a horse called Babe, who had passed away for a member of our pony club, Catherine Malloy. And I went to meet Kathy for coffee. But prior to that meeting, I had been waking up with Arabic words, and I don't speak Arabic. So I had all these words, and I just intuitively knew that I just had to wait for it to unfold, trust and surrender. When the time's right, it will present itself. And these words were in English translation around royalty, around prince, around princesses, um, that type of information. I was like, oh, well, this is pretty cool. Maybe I'll get to be an animal communicator in the Middle East. For Arabic horses and camels and whatnot, hawks, falcons.
Yes. How
Um,
cool would that be?
yeah, so I've turned up in Palmwoods for coffee with Kathy. And as I sat down, she was a little bit flustered. And I know she wouldn't mind me saying that. Um, and she said, oh my gosh, I've double booked for this conference that I'm speaking at. You don't want to go to the Middle East, do you? And I was like, yes. And she's like, really? And she said, will you speak there as well?
Oh,
Yes.
goosebumps.
Yes, I'll speak. Yes, I'll go. And so I committed. And of course, I spoke at in Bahrain, that's how you say it, around all things, a little bit of animal communication, my journey with cancer, mindfulness and growth mindset, and being present with your energy and not giving it away, some health and wellness tips around burnout and stress.
All of that in one
All of
conversation.
that in one conversation, all mixed together. And during that trip, we then traveled on to Riyadh. And in Riyadh, I got really sick. We're assuming from the breakfast buffet. And I ended up asking the bus to stop urgently on the side of the road. And wouldn't it be in front of the Royal Palace? And the royal guards came over to make sure that I was okay because I was laying on the ground. I'd fainted. I required the ambulance. So all these Arabic words are playing out now. So the king and the royalty, and I'm in front of the royal palace, and they took me to the hospital. And I did recover, and we were waiting actually for a princess to be one of the guests at either Riyadh or Jeddah, which is not uncommon in these regions. They're part of their community. They're part of society there. They show up at events, and I was disappointed that I didn't get to meet a princess that trip, or a prince, but I went for a horse ride with Kathy in Jeddah, and we rode through the Red Sea. Can you tell me what my horse's name was?
It's got to be Prince or something like that.
It certainly was. My horse's name was Prince, and it happened to be, I don't know, I can't remember how to say it in Arabic, but it was Prince, and they pronounced it the word for Arabic. So I got my Prince in the end. So there are all the synchronicities that line up, and I get these intuitive drops all the time and just have to trust that things will unfold in the perfect time, and when they're meant to, and that we're always supported from the other side. We have a guardian angel that's with us from birth, and they're I'd like to say, like when you think of a snow angel and you do this,
Oh, that's quite a vision. I love that.
that's how close they are to you at all times, and they like a job to do. So your job is to make sure that you ask and give them clear directions around what you want. So I call in my guardian angels or my higher self all the time. Can also call in, I often call in messages from my mother when I've got things on my mind. And for an example, I was agonizing over something just recently and I just couldn't decide. And I said, Mum, can you help me? And I just wait. And I went to school that morning, and the music on the bell, they don't use an actual bell anymore, they use music. And the song was my wedding song, which is very uncharacteristic and not quite going to be used, in every day in a schoolyard. So I knew it was my mum because I think she drank herself in free beer that night, and we nearly bounced off the pot plants into the swimming pool. So she knew that if she played the wedding song, that would get my attention. I'd know exactly who it was, and I did, and I got my answer. And it's always to trust my intuition.
Oh, that's just gorgeous. And
Yeah,
we are running out of time, and oh, this is just yummy. I love all this juicy stuff.
yeah.
Um, would you like to leave us with one thought for us to finish up today?
Absolutely. So everyone has intuition, and your job this lifetime is to use it. So when you listen to other people and ask for their opinion, you're giving your energy away. So you get that intuition, and then basically you're giving it away because what they say matters more than what you are being told you should do. And even if you choose against your intuition, there's lessons to be learned in every situation. So um, as long as you can see the lesson and you can forgive yourself if you've made a mistake. So I like to think of love, self-belief, forgiveness, gratitude, and then a return to forgiveness again. Because the more that you can forgive yourself and others, you're giving yourself peace, which allows you to be in a state of that love energy.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I've had a good time today,
Me too.
And some of these stories I had heard, but some I hadn't. And I know that our audience are going to absolutely love you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out. And
We'll put all your details with this, so it'll all be taken care of. My only challenge is that there might not be enough hours in your day when everyone bangs on your door, Jodiann. But thank you very much, and what a pleasure.
thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the richness of our lives. If today's conversation stirred something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Connect with me on social media, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are ready to step into your own bold journey, join our vibrant Cheer Squad. We meet weekly for coaching and connection. Until next time, continue to embrace the richness of your life. I'm Mary Scott, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.